Welcome everybody to VVR. My name is Arturo, and today we're going to be talking about me attempting the Bob Ross challenge. But before that, if you haven't been to this channel, it's my multimedia channel apart from Twin Chickens, which is my gameplay channel that I do with Evan. And we kind of talk about our lives in that channel. But in this one I want to primarily talk about anything multimedia things that I've been doing. So this one I actually captured a Bob Ross painting, which I'll be talking about in this video. My ups and downs with it. Also, I guess bring up to speed with, it's the 4th of January, so let's bring up to speed of what's been going on with my life. So I recently just watched the Bob Ross, sorry, not the Bob Ross, Cobra Kai, which is the series based on the Karate Kid. And I guess I'm a little late to the party, but right now season 3 is out, so I just binge watched season 1, and I will be making a separate video just talking about that. But yeah, what I want to do with this channel mainly is to go over the things that I've been watching or been doing, such as if there's like a new piece of equipment that I've been using for drawing or painting. I want to review that and talk about it. I'll be making separate videos for movies my top 10 movies that I've been of all time, I guess, that I always watch. My top 5 bands that I hail as like the greatest bands of all time. And for me, and this is all subjective obviously, but and then like just a bunch of other stuff. But anyway, I will be dropping my Cobra Kai review sometime this week, and then just start the channel off that way. I want to try to keep a trend of like maybe uploading 2 times a week or 3 times a week, and just kind of like getting as much content as I can out there, during my own time. Right now I do own my own business as a contractor, a subcontractor, I guess. So I get contracted jobs throughout the week, and I work mainly like 9 to 4 every day. And when I get home, sometimes I'm extremely tired, and I want to do nothing but just watch, either watch some TV or just play like on my Switch or whatever, or my PS4, and just kind of unwind. But usually on the weekends, I have more time where I can actually, review content and actually do stuff. My current living situation is very unhealthy, since I have my art studio in here, I have my music studio, my piano, I have a giant bed. As in this video, you can't really see it, but on my next video that I upload will be another Bob Ross challenge that I do. My TV is actually standing on top of my speakers, which is not where a TV should go, but I made it work because I needed a better TV than this little tiny one that I have here that I've been having for I guess 3 years now, and it was time to upgrade. As much as my selfishness kind of comes by my own reality, this is kind of my situation. Anyway, moving on to this Bob Ross painting challenge. Wow, this one, I'll put in the link of the video that I use for reference, because I'm doing a follow along with him. I'll put a link in this video, and also a picture at the end of this video of how it actually turned out, because there are some corrections that I made after the video was over, that I realized, like, there's a spot in the middle here that I never touch. And it's probably going to bother you guys. It bothered me, like, just watching this video, and I'm like, God, when is he going to touch it? I'm like, oh, I touch it after. Like, I actually like get to it later. So that like bothered me. Anyway, a couple things that I want to touch on is that this is my third or 4th Bob Ross painting that I attempted using oil color or oil paints. And oil paints, I would say I was an acrylic painter before, because I would do that more regularly, painting more with acrylics. It's been like 6 months since I actually tried painting anything. I guess it's been a while. So when I tried to do this oil paintings is a brand new medium for me, obviously. I'm not going to school for this. I learned everything I did online. And I've learned extremely through rigorous training and everything, like what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do. And this is just my own personal experience, but wow. In this painting, since it was like my 3rd or 4th one, I've been so freaking I almost went into madness just trying to paint this painting. Like, it was insane. Anyway, let's talk about the process. So first, since I am brand new to oil painting, right now I'm more, I guess, intermediate, I would say, since I've learned so much just trying the Bob Ross challenges and just trying to do a follow along and just all the videos that I learned online. I've learned so much more that I want to pass them on to you in case you guys do want to do some oil paintings. But anyway, Bob Ross has painted well over 2,000 to 3,000 paintings, and this guy obviously is some consider to be not an artist, some consider to be an artist. I don't really care about any of that stuff. He just makes amazing paintings for me personally. And if you want to learn by somebody else, like Bill Alexander is his teacher, and from what I've seen online is that he actually will tell you more of the techniques rather than Bob Ross does. But even so, going between both of them, there are a lot of things that in the Bob Ross show that he just does not tell you, that I don't even think people even think about, and as they try to do a Bob Ross challenge. But there's so much things that they just do not tell you. So I bought the Bob Ross kit because I wanted to. Obviously, I got so inspired by Bob Ross. It just built up inside me. Like, it's been what, I think it's been a year since I discovered him, but only like in the last 6 months, like I said, like I actually went to Bliss. I saw that they had the kit there, which had like about 8 or so paint tubes in it. I don't remember how much. It had the Bob Ross knife. It's his branding, his branding thing, and I don't know why, but the paintbrushes they look a little bit off for me, since I am a painter. Like, I paint houses, I remodel. My current job, since I'm a contractor or subcontractor, I guess, that when I buy a brush, I expect it to be nice and clean and like too firm to a point. The Bob Ross brushes were frayed from the beginning. So I guess my biggest thing was that, like, I was trying to paint like Bob Ross. However, the brushes and the paints that Bob Ross uses are not obviously the paints and brushes that come in his branding set. So when I tried to paint like Bob Ross, or tried to attempt the challenges, obviously the frustration sets in, but it's more of the madness that, like, why can't I paint this like he does it? Why aren't the paints looking like that, or whatever? And a couple things. I found out that the paints are actually his brand is super oily and has a decent amount of pigment in it. I would say it's like 50% pigment, 50% oil, from what I'm using. And maybe it's the paint set that I got. Maybe there are better paints, Bob Ross paint sets that are more newer. I guess maybe this one was just collecting dust in the back and they brought it out or whatever. But anyway, the paints felt like they were so oily, instead of, obviously, like, okay, you would expect it. Yeah, it's oil color, duh. Like, it's supposed to be like that. Not necessarily. I found out that the Bob Ross paints are not only like middle of the ground kind of quality, and it's marketed to do this on wet technique, I guess, a la Prima, where it's like you do it all in one go instead of waiting for layers to dry. It's meant to be used on a wet surface. But even so, I found that even getting a different type of paint tube that's a lot thicker, such as like about the Rembrandt paints that are like super thick, and even the Senliners, Senliners, I don't even know how to pronounce it, but it's above, it's like one of the topper, it's one of the top oil paints, are so much more thicker paints than the Bob Ross paints. And I guess that's because those are more professional paints, and I don't know why these Bob Ross paints are super oily. Maybe that's just the way they're supposed to be. But when I try to paint like the same amount of ratios that Bob Ross does, like, I really take my time to, like, okay, this is how much he did, and this is how much I'm doing, and this is kind of what the color I'm looking for and all that stuff. I can't get that mixture correct. Like, I can't get the same amount of the chroma, or I guess, or like the type of hue, or even the color consistency that he does. And that made me believe that Bob Ross and Will Alexander are actually using a different type of paint. oil paint, a different brand that I don't know what it is. I went online and nobody in this world, I guess in the internet world, knows what type of paints they're using. They know it's oil color, but that's not necessarily like, enough information for me. However, I have realized that because it is oil color and because their paints are much vivid, I'm led to believe that their oil colors are more professional grade than student grade. Student grade being more entry level, such as Winsor Newton and all that, like what's it called, Gamblin, I think, are more entry level and have more like less pigment and more oils and more like chemicals or mediums, I guess, in it that fill up the tube. However, even the Winsor Newton oil color brand, I think it's just called oil color. I don't think it's called the Artisan. I think is the water mixable one. I could be wrong. Anyway, even that tube of paint is a lot thicker, just a little bit thicker, I guess, than the Bob Ross one. It's so much thicker that like when I try to paint the sky, paint the background in the beginning of this video, I can't blend it together. What you're supposed to do is get a clean brush and go over the sky and blend it all together. As you can see in my video here, you can definitely tell where the different, I guess, colors are kind of crossing over, which is not what it's supposed to be. They're all supposed to blend together, so you're not able to tell where one starts and one begins. It's all supposed to come together as one thing. That when I grab my 2-inch brush, which is like a pretty big brush, and I try to go over it like it's clean, I try to go over it and I try to blend it, because the oils on the canvas are so wet and so moist, I guess, it'll actually bring and ruin everything. Like it makes it such a muddy mess. I've realized now that I've been, painting, I've done like 2 or more paintings, I guess, after this. I've realized that you actually have to use a thicker paint, so that a thicker paint, even on this wet on wet technique here, will actually hold onto the canvas more than this thinner paint, which is what the Bob Ross paint is. So before you actually see anything going on here, I actually prime the canvas with gesso, which gesso is just like it's like a liquid acrylic, which makes it so that you can I guess prime the canvas to have it more of a tooth. And if you're starting out canvases, you could actually just go to Michael's. I think those canvases are like they say that they're primed, but I think they might be just primed once. I would just definitely prime it again to just give it more of a toothy feel, toothy appearance, I guess, so that your paints will stick on there more, which is what you're supposed to do, which is what Bob Ross says in all of his shows. Like it's a double primed canvas that has liquid white on it already. Anyway, this is a funny little look I did there. And also, I don't have a bald spot in the video. Actually, that's where my what's it called? That's where my hair parts or whatever, and I just have it set in a way where it just looks like that, so it's not a bald spot, if you guys are wondering. Anyway, so you're supposed to add the gesso onto the canvas beforehand, make it, let it dry. I guess it would take like 10 minutes to let it dry, and then you apply the liquid white, which is just oil color mixed with like linseed oil or something like that, which is like a very thin, very wet oil, like thing that's supposed to go on your canvas, which is supposed to make it wet and primed, so that when you put your colors on there, they're supposed to mix on the canvas. However, I found that if you try to do that with the Bob Ross kit, they actually don't blend like they're supposed to. Like when you're watching his Bob Ross paint, even in this video, like I'll link the video down so you can actually see like how is he getting such vivid colors? How is he able to actually blend everything together? And it just made me believe or come to this conclusion that they're using super high-end paints. I mean, obviously the Bob Ross kit is very entry level. It is expensive. I think it's like $100 or like 80 something dollars for like the kit that I had. It had less of the paint tubes in it, which I think the $100 one comes with like more paint tubes and like another brush in there as well. But I just went with this one because I wasn't sure if I was actually going to continue doing this, if this is something I was going to love doing or not. But anyway, well, I guess I lost my train of thought here. Anyway, you would apply the liquid white on the canvas, and now it's ready to go. Oh, that's where I was going. So as I tried to paint the background, you can tell that these colors are not blending together. Me going over the canvas is not doing, will actually pull all the paint together, where in the Bob Ross video, he goes over the canvas very gently, where like only the hairs of the brushes are touching, and very gently are able to, he's able to bring everything together. Where when I try to do it, like I'm doing the same thing he's doing. I'm barely letting my paintbrush touch it, but it's actually, the bristles of the brush are actually causing more interference. Like you can see the streaks come from one color to another, and which is not supposed to happen. Like it's supposed to blend everything together. Like no streaks are supposed to happen. But because the brushes that I got are super frayed, that's the result that I'm getting. Like even if I try to go over the blue to go into the red here, it will pull, my brush will pull like a strand of the blue and actually pull it into the red, which is not what is supposed to happen. You're supposed to blend it all together. So that is so frustrating just to do. And maybe it's the paint that I'm using, maybe it's the brushes that I'm using, but I've come to the conclusion that I'm 100% sure that Bob Ross is just using, maybe he is using his commercial brushes, but from what I notice, just going to your local Home Depot, local Menards store, buying like $1, $2 brush, like a 1-inch or a 2-inch brush, that is all you need to get started. Like for brushes. As well, Bliss also they sell natural bristle brushes, which is what you're supposed to be using, that are also fairly inexpensive, that are definitely better than the Home Depot ones. And I would even say they're better than the Bob Ross brushes, but they're not high quality brushes. Like they're gonna obviously fray, and the downside is that the bristles will actually come off of the brush every once in a while, and you have to kind of somehow get them off the canvas, which I guess you can use your palette and to get them off. Anyway, so just attempting this whole thing, I realized that there's so much that they just do not tell you. No YouTuber that I know of actually, like I've watched a lot of YouTube videos about this because I wanted to at least have the confidence to try it. I've watched so much that I've gone to the conclusion that the brushes that Bob Ross uses is, you can just honestly just buy them at the Home Depot, because they will actually come to a point. The Bob Ross brushes that I got in the paint kit do not. They're completely frayed. Even if I put a ton of paint onto the bristles, they will not come to a point. It's maddening just trying to do that. Whereas you see in the show, he's able to get such a fine point on a 2-inch brush, which is a huge brush, which needs a lot of paint to get to that point, where he can actually paint a thin tree onto his canvas, which when I try to do that with the 2-inch brush that came in the kit, it's impossible. Obviously, it's super frayed, where you have to use something different. I think what I did is I actually got the fan brush that came in the kit, and I used that because that just became a lot easier to paint like birch trees or whatever without any leaves. So anyway, there's so much more I'm going to get into in the next video as well, in the next Bob Ross challenge, of things that I learned. But for right now, for this one, I've learned also that if you, even just going with the Winsor & Newton brand, or even the Bliss brand of oil color, they are so thick that I would even say that they're better to do this oil painting, a Bob Ross landscape oil painting challenge, than the Bob Ross kit, because they, not only are they like, they're so much less expensive than the Bob Ross kit, but they will, I feel like you get what you pay for with the Winsor & Newton, where with the Bob Ross kit, you just, you don't really know. I think there's a color called Indian yellow that looks extremely like orange, like a yellow orange, but the color that is, reflected on the tube, that comes out of the tube versus the color that goes on the canvas, night and day, completely different. So I would say the Winsor & Newton brand, if you want to start off, you can try the Bob Ross brand. I mean, it comes with everything you need, really. I think it comes with 8 branded paint tubes of Bob Ross, the liquid white, a 1-inch brush, 2-inch brush, and a 3-inch. I don't remember, but it does come with the fan brush. Anyway, we're almost at the end of this video, so I'll try to wrap up my thoughts here. If you're going to do the Bob Ross challenge, what you should do is watch a couple of his videos. There is also an instructional video on YouTube of like how to, from Bob Ross, like how to actually paint as he does, and he lists the colors every single time, so you have to guess. But just trying to follow along is maddening. I think I paused the video 6-7 times here just to get caught up with him, because he goes, obviously he's put in his hours, so he just knows what to do. He goes so fast that trying to keep up with him is like what's it called, a cheetah trying to catch up to a lion, or vice versa, or like a lion trying to catch up to a cheetah, whichever one's faster. I don't know my animals, whatever. Anyway, I'm just finishing up this painting here. What I'm doing is I'm just adding more detail to the painting before I stop. I think I got like two more minutes left, or 1 more minute. Anyway, and the next video we'll be talking about more of the techniques that I did, what I actually, like I said, things that he just doesn't tell you that I actually did differently, and also the cleanup time as well. I used oil paint thinner. I just went to Home Depot and just got like a big giant jug of it, which maybe that will influence how much it takes to clean the brushes, but for me, using that does not, I can't clean the brush as fast as you can. It takes me like 3 to 4 minutes just to clean a brush, which is insane, because if you're trying to keep up with him, you just can't. It's just impossible. But maybe it's the oil thinner that I'm using, but I just can't get all of the paint off of my brush. And even if I tried to do the turpenoid or whatever from Bliss, I just can't do it. So anyway, in the next episode, I will be talking more about what I did differently and what I learned overall from this step. So thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next episode. Look forward to my Cobra Kai review, and for more reviews of movies, music, and all this stuff, and the link in the description below. I also have a tip page if you guys want to send a movie request or all that stuff. Not only does the tip goes to helping the channel, but it goes to just improving the quality of all these videos. Thank you so much, and see you later. Bye-bye.